bans.
It did ban across last time, and these bans are actually looking identical to the first game, which is not a good sign if you are Cream.
No, you'd certainly think they want to shake the paradigm up. They'll go for an Elsu. They tried something different game one, genuinely different from what everyone else is doing, going all in on the CC train. It did not work. They never got that full CC train to work. What needs to change? Should they just go meta like I was suggesting?
Yeah, just copy their the Cream EU counterparts and just try to go for that ADC meta, see how it feels. Just try it out one time, guys.
It's difficult to do if you're not familiar with it, though, and you're feeling pressure right now.
Yeah, I just don't feel like they're gonna win.
To do some...
Yeah.
You think their chances are so stacked against them? Throw caution to the wind? Is that where we're going?
Yeah, that's what I feel like.
The rest of the ban has come through. Will be Florentino, Yabaneth, Sephra removed from the cards, and we can get into our first pick. Cream, you're asking them to throw caution to the wind, stick to the meta, and they immediately deny you, threatening a jungle Lindis.
Well...
Can you explain the Yabaneth ban?
Yabaneth can be very frustrating if you are trying to get to the back line, and we saw the Murat in the last game. It can shut you down in a way, but ooh, okay. Hovering the Praetor to the last moment there.
That line comes through in the side lane, also something you're not a big fan of, so the not a big fan of D2 meter is about even so far. The Alice will come through for INTZ.
I'm a little bit more of a fan of Lindis. One thing that INTZ could do here that would make me so happy is if they just stuck Valheim in the DS lane and actually picked up a separate ADC to go in the Abyssal lane.
Ooh. Liliana Teamy will come through for Cream. That Teamy gives them a lot more options.
It absolutely does. Keeps that Lindis alive as she's darting in there.
Really?
We're going to see...
Illumia!
Oh my goodness.
INTZ, what are you doing?
All right, tell me, what are they doing? Why is Illumia coming in? And welcome to the Valor series, Illumia. We haven't had you yet.
I haven't seen Illumia since Season 1 Finals.
I like the skin. Maybe they're showing off the skin.
And they lost.
Maybe they're showing off the skin. Is that what this is?
They're a little bit too confident. They're gonna just...
Is this a troll pick and it may backfire?
The first half of the draft is very standard, even though I don't like the Valheim.
Illumia's not bad. Illumia is fine, but there are just so many better options. The number one problem with Illumia is she just doesn't have any mobility. They've got the rest of the draft, though, pretty standard, like you were talking about. They have the Richter, they have Zephyrs. All of that makes sense. Opposing them, it'll be Lindis, Superman, to follow up the team Liliana and Wonder Woman.
I'm racking my brain. I'm looking at Cream's side to see if there's any hero that they wanted Illumia to counter. Xenial is actually a hero that Illumia can soft counter, because once he pops his Angelic Splendor, you can get your ultimate off on Illumia before his goes off. So she's actually a soft counter to Xenial, but I don't really see anything on the side of Cream. They're all mobile heroes. They can all just walk out of her ultimate if it goes off.
I think if I had to make a prediction, or if I had to make a call exclusively off of the draft, I haven't seen the last game. Right now I'm signing with Cream Esports pretty definitively.
Right, that's the issue, right? Because we saw such a dominant performance from INTZ in the first game, so they're gonna have to really outplay them this time, though.
I mean, their first pick you called beefy, D2. You said that Cream were beefy in that last one. We knew they didn't really have a lot of mobility. They were basically just turning up to roar at their opposition and try and fight them. This feels like a better spread, doesn't it? This feels like a better planned pick.
Feels a lot better here from Cream. They actually have heroes that can move around the map and use their abilities like Lindis.
No side lane ADC though, Matt, from either side. That's actually a shift away from our meta.
Yeah, well, don't do that. It's not allowed.
To clarify to everyone at home, we've been saying that Valheim is not ADC that we consider. He's basically just a stun machine. As far as Lindis is concerned, she's always been a great jungler. She might be the one exception where I'm fine with her being in the jungle, because she can clear so quickly. She can get farmed up very fast. That it kind of mimics the speed with which someone in the Abyssal lane can farm up.
Lindis is the one ranged that currently feels better in jungle than side lane, because you can build her with Scorching Wind, which is the ranged jungle item that prioritizes attack speed.
Right, and everything that she does with that Lunar Champion is, in all the buffs to her auto attack, go into that as well.
So do we feel Liliana against Illumia as a mage fight, as a mid lane scrap is
It's not fair. Liliana destroys.
Yeah, Illumia has almost no mobility, and I'm going to be really fascinated to see what they have planned on the INTZ side.
She is the slowest mage in the game at 340 units per second, and she has no dashes. But she can do that, though. She can stun Benja up.
And I'm going to get Yell Cataclysm at least once.
There you go.
Because the damage will come through across the map from her global damage ult, particularly effective for the stun in teamfights.
That is the one thing. If she can land an amazing Cataclysm, it can turn the entire game around because that scales amazingly with her ability power. And once you get that, the entire team can be stunned up. And oh my goodness, Mourinho. Okay, that was close.
Yeah, but no mobility, which, as you've already seen, is a problem. They're pairing her with the Alice. The shielding may give the speed boost necessary.
Maybe? Actually, you know what? Okay, Alice does have the Windstone, which leads me to believe she's going to go into Ring of the Fiend, which is standard for Alice. That gives her the movement speed, and maybe they're onto something by giving Illumia some zoom.
You could also go Essence of the Wind for the extra speed boost shield.
Yeah, that does give you movement speed as well, but I would like to see Ring of the Fiend here. 50% is a lot of movement speed, TJ.
Absolutely. So maybe there's a way for this Illumia to work, but only if Mixer J is nearby.
Yeah, we're slowly starting to figure this out, but
Neo double stuns. The Illumia claims first blood. Neo to fall in mid. Mixer J simultaneously behind the pen, but that trade will get taken every day of the week.
Yeah, and they're getting that goalie because of it as Padaria is pushing away the Benja. This is how I like the Valheim to be used. You put him in that Darkslayer lane and you push away. You win that lane decisively, get your team an advantage, not in the Abyssal lane with the Valheim. I like this so far.
Small criticism though. Mixer J, what were you doing near the Abyssal pen? 2 minutes. Because if you're trying to rotate down to the bot lane, you can do that more safely as a solo player.
Well, you can scout it for your team. Perhaps he didn't really care for his own life as long as he got that information.
Yeah, the only downside is it did give a little bit of extra gold over towards Gret, who will be a major threat opposing them.
Well, we've seen Mixer J play extremely aggressively, and as long as the team is on board, that usually works out well for supports. It's only when the team is lagging behind that it gets poor.
Bot lane, there's trouble. The Abyssal as well, currently underway. Myth will pick it up. A little bit of a face-off with Arkol, who finally gets shut down. There's the Cataclysm looking for the final kill. It's not necessary.
You know, as easy it is to dodge the Cataclysm, it can be very frustrating if used at the right time.
Padaria to flicker away to safety, trying to stay out of range. The entrapment's barely short. Padaria will survive.
Cheeky Padaria gets the healing.
Fusion.
Oh, Benja.
Myth through for the punish, can't quite find the trade.
Great play there from Benja. Finally some pushback.
Top lane, Frey will get the tower alongside Gret, though. That means INTZ are now at a, or should be, at a deficit.
This is very similar to last game, even though INTZ doesn't have quite the gold advantage. They do have one, despite being down a tower, just like last game.
Yeah, they're at a map control and quote-unquote game deficit, but at a gold lead.
Right, and that's okay in the early game. If that continues, it starts to become a problem.
A quad stun from one Pooty Boots.
Arkol just farted in all over their faces. And by the way, that's literally what he does. It's called Pooty Boots.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad you could ruin that for me.
It's a building name.
It doesn't mean I had to know. Mixer J has the recall during that time as INTZ are playing kind of split defense across the map.
This duel in the bottom rages on as Ray on the Wonder Woman and Fusion on Richter go back and forth with that lifesteal and with their invulnerability frames.
Hey, we were trying to work out the Illumia. Well, we'll talk about it in a moment. Ray stays away from the Illumia, but Fusion finds one with retaliation. Now Arkol's here. Thinks better of the options. Mid lane, Mixer J still got the chase on the Benja. Don't quite have the stuns to keep him locked down.
Well, Cream has had no way to punish the Medino on the Illumia so far, so it's working out, at least up to this point.
And Mixer J is going to push forward as well. They kind of want this bot lane tower. Fusion, throw with Myth. They've got 4 players here. Only Arcol and Gret to defend. Gret needs to stay safe. He's on a hissy fit. The Mega Bro Resurrect is active though. They'll be both immediately back. Arcol cannot survive. Gret falls for a second time. The tower will live. Bray finds a 3-man stun. And then somehow, someway lives through it all as Fusion arrives to turn the fight. Neo will be the only player of Cream to survive.
How in the world did they make that work? 4 diving under a tower. It took forever to go down. They were taking tower shots the entire time. Benja wants revenge on Badaria, and he'll get it.
Normally, if you get your Resurrect up underneath the tower, you're safe.
They essentially won a 4v6 or something like that. If you include the resurrections under a tower, what in the world is happening right now?
Well, Cream Esports are in trouble. I think that's a fair synopsis.
And INTZ is definitely pushing it to them. Now, one thing in Cream's favor as they try to take this Abyssal Dragon.
Threaten coming potentially, but they're more distracted by Neo. That means the Abyssal will go over. A little bit of extra gold to Cream, perhaps undoing the deficit they found themselves at from those towers.
They might get this tower as well as they're pushing in here.
Ooh, Chain Lance misses.
Ooh, nice Cataclysm.
Nice Cataclysm indeed. The tower will still go down. Mixer J's here to threaten Bray, who's actually caught out on top of the Hissington. That's doing a lot of damage. Now Padaria can come through.
Go save him, maybe?
I don't think he can. Bray accepts his death, recommits. He'll eventually go down, and the rest of the team just leaves.
That's a lack of communication. As Wonder Woman goes in, the rest of the team backs out. And that is certainly problematic as he has 3 deaths to his name.
Again, the Alice, very well played here by Mixer J, doing a lot of damage in that fight. They got Neo caught out as well. That was a good stun.
Very well played by Fusion there to chunk him down to a quarter health. Great jungle strikes coming out from him.
As they win that fight in mid, they can now start bullying elsewhere. The mid lane tower will fall. Archon distracted by the threat onto their golem.
I was talking about it for a moment here, but the one thing that Cream can hold on to is if the Lindis can get to the late game, can get farmed up. She provides the most damage of any hero in this game. So that's something for Cream to kind of push towards as we linger on. Daria.
Threatened a bit. He'll get to safety though. And he's got the recall as Cream Esports do seem a little bit more aggressive.
Okay, Illumia. Orb of the Magi, Enchanted Kicks, and the Boomstick. That is a lot of damage. If anyone gets hit by the Cataclysm, they're going to get chunked like
Oh
that.
my lord! Like half HP in one combo. Mixer J's through as well. Gret and Arcol both need to lick their wounds a bit. Modinho will back out. Still low mobility and can be threatened by that as Benja comes through, but he's unable to grab it. Mudinho with a nicely timed flicker will get to safety. Mixer J's in trouble, but they got the hissy then. The rest of the team now comes through. Padaria will force the Resurrect to come out, and Benja needs to flee. How on earth did INTZ win that as Fusion comes through and snags Neo on the retreat?
I am mightily impressed, DJ. Mix RJ throws the hissy fit in front of himself to provide a retreat path. You rarely see that sort of next level play, and that was beautiful. Allowed them to win the fight.
I use the term home base for a lot of compositions involving the Alice. That was the quintessential reason for that.
Able to get out of there with ease because of that hissy fit, able to survive through the speeding bullets of Benja coming out there, and now they're finally starting to take a massive lead. Not quite in gold yet, but those structures are falling one by one.
Spirit Sentinel picked up for Myth. He'll dip out of that and now go just focus on the farm. I'm very curious what he's building to. This is like full dive Zenial or Zephyrs.
Yeah, lots of cooldown reduction, 30% to his name at the moment. Oh,
Cataclysm will come through. Gret's back. He'll try and stay alive in this fight, and they do turn around with Fusion to fall. A great resurrect. Now, Bray will go in. Little does he know Mixer J's in the area. He's 0-3. That might get worse. 0-4, sorry. It might get even worse as the threat comes through. Mixer J will attack this tower. Padaria's there for the execute. The rest of the fight, though, is going towards Cream as Benja grabs 1, make that 2. Medinho and Myth falling elsewhere on the map.
And you see the weaknesses of the Lumia there. She cannot get away from that situation, does not have the movements, he doesn't have the dashes. One thing I want to point out, though, is the Cataclysm does, as of a few patches ago, reveal the entire enemy team. So that could certainly help them in this macro game.
INTZ, despite losing the fight, just turn around and grab this Abyssal Dragon with their Valheim Alice.
Yes, they get. Well, it is pre-10 minutes, so it's only a bit of gold there. And I don't think that Cream really wanted to contest that at that point.
Fun little chat. We were talking about what Windstone and the support item would be built. It was the essence of the wind to give that extra shielding to the Illumia.
And any other hero that gets burst down here, along with that movement speed, but still fine. Obviously, it's the formerly standard one, but oh no, this is pre-10 minutes, or post-10 minutes.
Oh, the Cataclysm almost secures it. It'll be great to do it. There's the Enraged Abyssal Dragon, like you said, over to Cream Esports.
This is the first big advantage going over to Cream, and perhaps they can turn this into some advantages of their own.
Gret's not been doing bad. Currently sitting at 7.6k. That's better than most players on the map. That will mean that they're entirely capable of burning down these fights.
Well, look at the gold here. It's going to be between Gret and Benja to provide that damage for their side. Both Rankbreaker and Muramasa here for Benja, so he can cut through tanks and squishy heroes alike if they ever get into a fight.
Superman, very scary. Myth. We'll have to bail on that. Spirit Sentinel should be able to grab it, though. Benja down in the bot lane. Doesn't like his matchup into Valheim.
Even though he has 2,000 more gold, I feel like he could take it. Maybe he just doesn't know the location of the other heroes.
They should know now, as they've encountered 3-4 players for sure up near top.
Cream is just walking into a wall. It seems like getting nothing done with his Abyssal buff. And in the meantime, INTZ on that Dark Slayer.
They need to be doing something with this buff. They need to be finding a kill at the very least. They've got Mr. J caught out. Dark Slayer is threatened, but Myth locks it down. Now the thrust of the fight comes through. Cataclysm will go wide. Cream dive in for the fight. Myth will lasso his way or get lassoed in by Break. He's knocked down. They've got the follow-up fusion. Falls as well. A double kill for Neo. The being of pros there to stall things up. Gret finally falls in a simultaneous death, and it is only Mixer J to survive.
4 for 1 there for Cream. They get the fight they always wanted. It just took them to realize that the opposing team was at the Dark Slayer for them to go for the engage and take them out.
Our call. Neo want this mid lane tower. They need to make something happen from this point onwards. Mixer J, you cannot hold this. Surely not. He's got so much HP though.
Mixer J somehow making that happen with all of the defense on his side, but that Hissy Fit doing so much work to push them back. As it stands, Cream looks like they're only going to settle for a tower and a Sage Golem.
Not awful. They're back in this game. They have a gold lead. Perhaps the first time the Cream Esports organization has had that all Valor series across 2 regions. This will be pressure in for Mixer J as he falls back. Arkol still in the front lines. Kataria and the rest nearby.
Finally, the Drake gets popped here, but Superman's going to go up north to deal with that, as the Dark Slayer buff is still there, at least for Mixed RJ, the only person with it. And the Cream Esports doesn't have the Abyssal buff to their side, so an even game from here on out.
All of INTZ cowed now, playing defensive. How do you feel about the Illumia?
It's been okay. It hasn't been terrible or great.
Faint praise.
It's been neither terrible nor great. I'll just say that.
I'm very much not sold. I think the Illumia did decently, but I also think literally any other mage would have been better.
Very much could be the case here. But perhaps Mudinho is comfortable with it, wanted to go with it this game. Not working out to the fullest, like you say, though.
Well, he's not comfortable now, Daniel. He's got to be feeling a little bit uncomfy, at the very least, as Cream work their way down towards this Abyssal Lane tower. They've got Gret nearby, they've got Myth nearby. The tower will go down. Gret able to survive, and he's doing the vast majority of this team's damage.
Very tentative play coming out here from INTZ all of a sudden, as they're not willing to take a fight.
They're scared, and that's not a good sign as Bray goes forward. There's the Hissy Fit. Fusion dives in. Cataclysm. Well, that's a beautiful Cataclysm. Bray needs to bail. He's the only player left in the fight, and he too is gone. Benja is desperately trying to get a tower, something a trade, a high ground to fall. He cannot get it, and this means it's basically an effective ace.
The Fusion Butinho combination was absolutely nuts there, but they were missing the Superman. 13.2 thousand gold on his side, and he wasn't there.
They don't tank for this minion, which means they will not, oh, they almost do. They will not get the high ground, but they got another wave, and there's still 5 seconds on respawns. This is completely flipped. INTZ will get this high ground, surely. Benja through with 1, cannot save the tower.
They get the high ground, but they're not going to get the core here, so the game is still raging on. This time, maybe Benja will be in the fight because he is crucial to their side.
That was devastating, though. Cream went from in control of the game to suddenly very much out of it.
Well, it's come down to this situation. 4 towers on the side of INTZ, 3 for Cream. Again, I want to see Benja in this fight, but can Fusion and Mujinho do it again? Can they go with a jungle strike into that Cataclysm?
Full builds for both teams. Who wins the late game scale?
It's really hard to tell, especially with these Cataclysms hitting. You know what? It doesn't matter, TJ. All that matters is if the Cataclysm hits or not. Here's Fusion.
Diving in, shut down. The Hissy Fit Cataclysm combo is lethal, though.
It very well could be for the side of Cream if they can pull it off, but they haven't been able to pull it off because Fusion this time falls.
Cream do get another enraged Abyssal Dragon. INTZ have the split lane from Pateria. That's all as they lose the major buff.
Well, that's really all they could do there because Fusion was gone, so good play here from Pateria, slowing down the side of Cream. But Cream needs to make something happen right now. They need to start pushing in, and they're stuck here in the mid lane. They need to be pushing all lanes in.
They're playing so passive, even with the buff.
They're just in the bushes waiting to see if they come over. And by the way, like I mentioned before, Illumia's Cataclysm, it reveals heroes. So if they ever desperately needed to know where they were, if they're ever worried about a bush party, they could just pop that ultimate. So again, well, Kareem, come on, make things happen here.
Absolutely. They need to play more aggressive. A problem with LATAM over the last 2 days we've seen. And a new feature for the region, definitely not a problem in Season 1.
Right, just misplaced aggression we've talked about before. They fight when they maybe shouldn't. They don't fight when they probably should.
Myth will be playing solid defense. This buff's about to wear off.
Liliana, not even full build yet. That is an issue.
The buff's about to wear off, so they go for the Darkslayer. That's a cue for INTZ. Cataclysm, They have vision. They know this Slayer's underway. And Fusion dives in. The Cataclysm lands on. There's so many members as well. This is all on Gret.
Darkslayer, Fusion, can he take it?
Absolutely. There's Myth. They've got Slayer over for INTZ. Gret has pushed forward. They've got Pateria caught out, though, and that might be a fair trade. Cream need to bail, though. Pateria's back. He has the Blade of Eternity. The dive will come through. Benja finds the damage, and nobody has fallen for INTZ as Cream have lost their major damage dealers. Gret and Neo both gone. Frey badly split. He'll fall as well. And I don't believe it, but it was a catastrophic team fight for Cream. And INTZ have the mid lane, the Drake, and the super minion wave.
Desperation for Kareem doesn't pay for them as they get wiped out here, and now they look like they're going to be put onto the core.
Benja needs to save this game, and I don't think he can. They'll dive in. Arkall to commit. Benja back. It does not matter, and it will be INTZ with a 2-0.
Back and forth, that game much closer than in game 1, but INTZ take it to them. Bataria with the bait into the towers, and they take them all out.
It goes to INTZ again, but so much better from Cream in places. And then it's this doubt we have here, isn't it? In Latin America, it's like, you take some fights you shouldn't, exactly like you said. You don't take fights you should. Cream had opportunities there, knocking on the door there. Get it done!
They had the Abyssal buff for so long!
So let's hide in the bushes!
And then start a fight with the Darkslayer. They waited through the entire duration of the buff. Then right when the Abyssal buff was about to fade off, they were about to lose their team fight buff. They say, oh no, we're running out of buff, we should fight the Darkslayer.
That is the literal worst time to do that, because if you guys don't know, the curse lasts a little bit longer than the buff. So they're fighting without the buff, but with the curse.
And the curse means that any damage they do to a major monster like the Darkslayer is reduced by about half. That means that the big burst you rely on to close out the battle onto the Darkslayer to ensure that you get it is half as effective. And so it's very risky to go for a team fight around a major objective.
And in the end, the Cataclysm was the tool for them that worked because they got the vision. They got the vision. They came in on it. Sure, you believe. Okay.
Yeah, sure you do. From having said pretty much any mage would have been better.
I believe. I have been illuminated.
Comms, though, for Cream. You flagged that up early on in that cast, about sort of a third of the way through that thing. You were saying that maybe they're not communicating well enough, and I think that was exemplified, and we might see it in the replays. I think that was exemplified by Benja as Superman not being aware that everybody else is in a fight, and he really should be in there.
Or maybe the opposite. Maybe they should have realized that Benja wasn't there and they shouldn't have taken a fight because they were 4v5. But there was another moment here where Varay on the Wonder Woman was pushing forward, and the team just was not, and so therefore he died. Multiple moments like that there for Cream, and this is the big moment. So much damage coming out from there, but this was, I believe, Cream's fight.
This was Cream's fight, and this was feeling like when it was turning in Cream's favor, and they could actually make a, not push it to the finish now, but push away from INTZ and get a bigger lead. And then a couple of minutes later, INTZ have suddenly killed 4 of them.
And this is the huge fight for INTZ, the Cataclysm. She went full damage, and people
if I could just watch Cataclysms on loop for the rest of my life, I would be all right.
It seems, you look at the ability, and it seems like, a stun ability, a vision ability, but no, it scales the best out of all of her abilities. 100% of the ability power that she puts into her build goes into that ability.
You say she went full damage. Actually, the last item she bought, if I'm not mistaken, was Frosties.
Oh, there it is, yeah.
Yeah, do you disagree with that? Because that felt a bit useless to me.
Perhaps she was just worried about getting caught out and needed that to push them away and provide.
I'd look for that earlier, though. I don't know. I'm curious about this not because I know better, but because I want to know how the new Illumia meta is going to play out.
The new Illumia by ADC meta that we were praising and establishing, owning and underlining, and we're going to just slightly tweak it. It's not the Wisp meta now.
It's the Illumium. No, I think this was a one-off. I think INTZ were trying something, and I do still honestly believe that though this Illumia was really good, they may have seen similar results with other characters.
MVP.
Was really good. But
I was
the
not
Illumia,
expecting to see that.
The Illumia farms free damage, right? Because all of those assists are really easy to guarantee if you land a Cataclysm onto the whole team.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, all right, yeah.
So I'm not sure that we can 100% guarantee that any other mage would not have had similar or better results given the length of that game and the scaling focused on it.
The other thing is that, again, they have the Valheim. They don't have a traditional ADC, so she's going to always get the highest damage unless something went wrong.
We should say 12 kills for Cream is a big improvement over the 1 that they got in the previous game.
Yeah.
That's done. We'll give them that.
The numbers add up. Cream looked really, really close at times.
Yeah.
And then they just bungled the aggression, which is a pattern we've seen. I do think their mid-game spike, that moment where they almost turned it, was almost entirely Gret. It felt like almost that was realized by INTZ. They focused down Gret quite early in the next fight, and then they won the game off of it.
Right, if you can focus on that major damage source, then of course you're going to be able to win that fight here. If I can get nerdy for one moment here, they're
playing a MOBA on mobile. You want to get nerdy?
I don't believe he could.
I just don't feel it's a stretch, to be honest.
Anyway, I complained about the Valheim, but there's a very specific composition in which he's good, and that is with the Richter, but also with the Tulin. And the reason for that is because it's hyper-aggressive early game, and you can just shut them out of the rest of the game. But of course, in this scenario, they went with the Illumia, but that puts the Valheim in the top lane, puts the very mobile Richter in the bottom lane. You can shut down the ADC, perhaps. And that's the way you can win the early game with the Valheim.
And I do feel the Valheim had a pretty good role in this game as a counter to Super